Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Yo, this one's about El Chapo surviving the ADX Supermax. I'm going to link in how Diddy could wind up in the Supermax. So stay tuned. Think it's wild. I'm going to give it to you right now. Just by him having the bag where they said he was worth $1 billion, figure he spent 500 million and even got 500 million left. That's a lot of money. Just from having that money, that means that he could have influence in order to corrupt and, entice the officers in the federal prison to make moves to break the law for whatever reason. So for that alone, they could try and send them to ADX because of the bag. But sit back, this video, we're gonna show you what it's like in ADX, how El Chapo's living, who was there, the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. I mean, like I said, I was there with Larry Hoover, the whole nine, we could go on all day. Juan Ramon Mata, Mario Villabona, Ray Luke Lassiter. These are names that you don't even know, but believe me, in the underworld, they're gods and legends. Let's start this party real quick. All right? All right, so this is what it is, man. This is El Chapo. If y'all remember this, let's play it back so you understand what it was like when El Chapo found out he was going to ADX Supermax. All right.
This just-released footage of El Chapo shows the drug lord looking teary-eyed and in shock after he was flown to New York. He now faces a life sentence at Supermax prison in Colorado, known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies. Its infamous inmates include the Boston Marathon bomber, the Unabomber, and the shoe bomber who tried to bring down a plane. Cells are small at Supermax. The furniture is made of stone, not metal.
Now, just so you understand, see when they show this, if we take the volume out right here. Now, when they show this, these are the cells. That's the cell I lived in, right? But before I go any further, I really want to show you this right here. This is called, let me bring it into a brighter screen so you can see it a little better, right? This here is called a sally port, right? That's the cell in the back. That's the only window that I had in ADX to be able to see the outside world, was that little tiny window, and the light will come through and wake me up in the morning, and they give you what they call a little wiki with a little cardboard, that fits perfectly in the window if you want to block it out because you don't want the sun to come in. They're trying to accommodate you a little bit. But we sit in there, and you see how you got the first set of bars right there? Well, right there is a little hallway that has a solid steel door that has big glass, a little glass for you to look through, and then another big glass, right? That's ADX. So when they come see you, it might be, the education people, because everything is done through cop-outs in ADX. You got to write a cop-out the night before. That's what they call it, like you copping out, you need something. So you write a cop-out to the law library saying, I need F3D 145, second edition, and you list what you want on it. You give it to the officers that night like it's mail. They take it to the education department. They bring back the law book you want. And if it's a leisure book, what they do is they bring you a list of books that they have that they give us to circulate throughout the jail. And it was real good there because they was able to take the books and donate the books. So, when we're done reading the books, we could donate them to the library. And that's how they had the best books in ADX, because the books was the only form of escape. That's why I was so glad when I learned to read, and that's where I got my GED at, up in ADX, because I couldn't read or write when I went in. But it was just so crazy that, I read Wilbur Smith, and I was in the jungles of Africa in 1500s, when they had ships was the main means of transportation, and they had the Egypt, what was that, the river god. That was one of the best ones, and the first one that I read from Wilbur Smith. But I was all on boats and, in the jungles of South Africa. I mean, that's what this cell behind me turned into. It turned into a wonder zone of education for me. Some people, many people, it breaks. But this is a sally port. And then this here is where we lived at, so you understand. Now, this is the cell. All right, let me show you the actual cell, where it's at. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it right here. All right, where the cell at? Right here, there it is. This the actual cell now. Everything in this cell is made out of cement, so you understand. You see where those little slippers is? Right there right there. Okay, right there. Those are little slippers. You could use that to put your sneakers and your slippers, and of course your flip flops. Cause they give you flip flops so you could get in the shower behind me. That's the shower behind me, right behind my head up here. This is the shower right here. All right, that's the shower right there. So we take a shower whenever we want, 24 hours. You hit it, it's on a timer so you can't flood. The sink is on a timer so you can't flood. But everything is cement in there. Now, there's a little shelf right there where you can see that you can see the thing over there, right over the desk. That's where your TV was at. They have a TV in there. I heard them say we couldn't get this channel, that channel. No, ADX stands for Administrative Detention Maximum. So that means it's administrative detention. It's not detention, So now, administrative mean you could get everything that they're allowed to have on the regular USP. And that's how that play out. All right. But this is where we lived at. Everything cement, so you can't burn nothing, can't turn nothing on fire. Now, we're going to play this joint here. It's going to get into who's in ADX, what's ADX, a little history of it, so you understand. But I want you to understand that Diddy's money can take him to ADX if they wanted to be nasty. Because with that type of money, you could corrupt a lot of people. And that's one of the requirements to get in ADX, to have that power and influence, That includes the bag.
ADX stands apart, physically and philosophically. Unlike other federal prisons, ADX wasn't designed to rehabilitate. It was built to neutralize.
And that's just what it did. It neutralized me from being this aggressive youth that everyone knows that ran around Harlem and the East Coast to this laid-back elderly man trying to save the youth and let you know that it's not worth it. Don't violate the law. Don't play no games. They got somewhere to put you. Now, I survived 5 years in ADX, and I'm telling you, that was, that it wasn't mental torture. It was more emotional torture, because the loneliness kicked in with me so much that I started looking. Let's ride. And anybody that been to jail, I don't care if it's the state, the Fed, the county, wherever, I need some gunshots in the emojis right now. Put your experience and let it be known. Everybody that's been to jail, right, that had any type of thing going on the street, just even if you're not working, but you got family support, you got friends, you was, a good person, you depended on that mail call. When they had mail call, if you didn't get a letter that day when they sat there calling out the letters, sometimes it felt like my heart broke. Those are my weaker days. And then some days I don't get mail and I'm like, all right, I'm good. But then I can't wait to go to sleep so I can wake up for tomorrow like it's Christmas all over again, just waiting on a letter while I was in prison for 26 years. So all y'all out here that got people on the inside and you don't want to send letters, I would get a sheet of paper that would just say, I love you, or I missed you, or what's up. And that lit me up. That was like the greatest part of my day, to receive that mail. And then to open it and see that someone is thinking about me. So don't abandon the people in there and don't think that, they want me to write these long letters. No, they have time for the long letters. You just send them a letter, however short, whether it's just, I miss you, or just pick up a card, and send them a card. You know, but that's what that is, man. Let's go. I'm about to get a little emotional, but that's all it was. It was emotional. I mean, I look forward to that mail. Y'all put in the comments, did y'all look forward to that mail when you was locked up? I want to see if anybody gonna lie and say they didn't look forward to mail call. All right, come on, dog. That's like child time.
Some of the most infamous criminals in modern American history are or have been housed at ADX. You've got Ted Kaczynski, better known as the Unabomber, Ramzi Youssef, the mastermind behind the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, Richard Reed, the so-called shoe bomber, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, the Boston Marathon bomber, and how to survive regular, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the Mexican drug kingpin responsible for countless deaths and multiple prison escapes, until he ended up here. No one has ever escaped from ADX Florence, and that's by design. The perimeter is a maze of razor wire and guard towers. Inside, the prison is laced with surveillance cameras, motion detectors, thermal imaging sensors, and pressure-sensitive floors. The hallways are intentionally curved so that no one can see too far ahead or around a corner.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you a story about that, right? Cause you know I like to ride. The first time they walked me down these corridors right here in ADX, right? What went through my mind, right? I'm sitting here, I'm handcuffed, you know, and shackled, right? And they're walking me down this hallway, and there's two police next to me, and there's one behind me. And the two that's next to me, they're like, you know, like they wish I would try something. Then the one behind him, he got a long baton that got a little metal thing on the end, and that's where they'll hit you with the electricity. And I'm telling you, you get hit with that, you're gonna drop to your knees. You know what I mean? Pause. You know? But But when I walked down here, the hallway was going down. It was, and then, you know, you could see it was sinking. So I asked him, why is it sinking? He said, oh, because they rushed it and didn't test the ground to put all this weight on it. And now the ground is shifting, so that's why it's shifting. And that was my first time ever walking the halls without a mask on in ADX, you know, to go anywhere. But, you know, I couldn't believe that. But they stopped the mass walking and all that. They did that when we first got there. They didn't want us to know what unit we was in and how we got in. If y'all want some more of these stories, I'll tell you about how my first day at ADX went when they whooped me. You know what I mean? To give me what they call the TB test. That's where they stick you with the needle. Y'all been in the feds know what I'm talking about with the TB test. And I'm sure they got that in the state. But I refused to take it in the ADX because I just took it the night before over in Oklahoma. Coming there, but they shoot me up with the TB test like about 4 o'clock when I get there. About 4:15. I get off the plane at 4 o'clock. 4:15, I'm in my cell. Couldn't see nobody, couldn't talk to nobody, no other inmates, nothing. They moved me like Hannibal Lecter, whoop, right up to the shoe. And then here they come at 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, they wake me up after they just gave me this TB joint and fly me to Florence, Colorado. ADX. So I get to ADX. When I get there, they tell me they got to give me a TB test for me to enter their jail. I said, I just took a TB test at your other federal jail. What are you, nuts? And they're like, nah, what are you, nuts? You know where you at? Boop. Punch me dead in my face. I mean, you know, welcome to ADX. But they didn't play no games. When we got off the bus, right? Now, I say the ADX stories, you know, but I just wanted to play this so y'all know what ADX is. If you want more, let me know. Don't I look nice today? This is one of my sweaters that me and my man Mo Grime found when we went out to Paterson, New Jersey. Big shout out to, a round of applause to Paterson. You know what I mean? Got this joint from out in Paterson, you know? Nice little joint. Nice, but relax, y'all, relax. Yeah, I got this joint from out there, but you know, it's good to be free to be able to pick your own clothes instead of having to wear those dusty Russell, if you're lucky as Russell, sweatsuits. You know, the gray sweatsuits they give us in there, or the tan outfits.
Every movement, every word, and every flicker of activity is monitored.
We have hundreds of night vision cameras, hundreds of gates that are electronic. We can lifetime monitor over 50 languages.
The doors open only.
Now, let me tell you about what he mean when he say they could lifetime monitor over 50 languages. They had this joint in the prison that I was hearing about, and I said, nah, they can't have that. But I used to get a magazine called Wired Magazine, right? Showed you the future technology. But they used to say that they had something they could point at us when, you know, when we're walking around the compound. This after I left ADX. They saying that they had something that, you know, could monitor and pick up your voice by just pointing like a rod, like a gun, like a beam at you, and it could hear everything you saying. So dudes used to be talking and put their hands over the mouth so the beam couldn't go when we used to walk the track, and we was plotting on doing something we know we ain't had no daggone business doing. But that's what they mean by it picks up all these different languages, because it point at you. And we walk in the yard, police up in the tower. While they in the gun tower, y'all know what I'm talking about. They in the gun tower and they point something down there like this. And from that, they can sit there and listen to everything that you saying, and that's how they was catching dudes doing things, and dudes saying, man, I ain't tell nobody but you when we were walking the track. You know what I mean? You had to tell them how we wind up in the hole. You know what I mean? Nah, you must have told. Next thing you know, that's all because they had the joint where they point and got them, all right? See how you get the jewels over here at the Gangster Channel?
Only from a central control room. Out of over 300 guards, none of them carry keys. Inmates are moved one at a time through a strict choreographed system that eliminates any and all interaction. Now, picture this. You've just arrived. You're stripped of your clothes, your belongings, your name. Everything but your thoughts. You walk through several layers of security. You pass guards who don't speak, and the weight of the walls close in around you. Finally, you're led to your new home. A 7 by 12 foot cell with a concrete bed, a desk, a metal toilet, and sink. Oh, and a tiny vertical slit in the wall that's angled just enough so you can't see the mountains surrounding the prison. Just a sliver of light to let you know another day has passed. There's no clock, no calendar, no way to mark time other than your own internal sense of decay. You eat, sleep, shower, and exercise alone.
He putting too much on it now. He putting too much on it now. I ain't gonna let him do that. Yo, they sold the little Timex watches there for like $44, and then they had a little cheap watch that you could buy for $10. So they did sell watches for those that wanted the time. And that's the only time we had, and and that lets us know what's coming on the TV, because we had what was that? We had HBO, Cinemax. This before they took it out, because when I got to ADX was from the crack law riot in Lewisburg, and that's what sent me to everywhere, and then straight to ADX. I was only in the system 10 months. I made a year in the system. As soon as I made a year, I got tired of being in there and everything erupted. I said, get me out of here. But I didn't expect them to send me to nothing like ADX. You know what I mean? So, my black ass got what they, I deserve. And, that's how you got to take accountability, right? I ain't had no business tearing them people prison up. But it was a good cause, because it was for the 1 to 100 crack law joint that was going on. And that's what wound up helping a lot of brothers. Later on, it didn't help me, but I was fighting the cause because it was for my brothers. And that's the way I looked at it when I was in there. But see, I don't want you to have, a misconception of none of this. Is not to brag, it's not to boast. It's just to let you know what really goes on the inside, and why the youth should watch this, share this, and know that it's nothing nice. I survived this, and I'm here to look fly on your little YouTube now. I never even heard of YouTube. You know what I mean? I didn't even hear that. Well, all that y'all had Black Planet, all this, the MySpace. Never seen none of that. Remember, I went in 1993 and didn't come out till 2020. So don't worry about that. I'm flying out. I'm in the algorithm that, I think I'm the smartest cookie in the bunch. No, I'm just learning. That's why, like the other day, my man Sweets, big shout out to Tom. I got to give him a round of applause. I got to give him a round of applause. I give him a round of applause. All right, relax, y'all. Relax. My man Sweet's tiny bum cousin, right? He used to work for me back in the day, just driving vehicles for me to different states, to different houses on flatbeds and things like that, and motorbikes and four-wheel bikes. He was just the driver for my toys, But since I went to prison for 26 years, and just from him being around me and me being so hard on him, because I remember I had to tell him one day, yo, dog, I'm not looking for you to be my friend. You're not my friend. You're a driver. I'm going to help you get money, and you're going to help me get what, the vehicles I need where I need to get them at. But this friendship shit, we're not dealing with that. We're not even going to play that. And I love you like any other brother, but I don't do the friendship thing. I focus on the bag. And it's funny that I come home after 26 years, and now he owns a boat. And I got to get it and promote it for him, but he owns a boat up at City Island where he takes you out fishing on the boat, and he took me out fishing on his boat, this summer, and it felt so good that this was my little worker. Is a grown king now. And that's how, that warmed my heart so much to see, then he got big house, out of state. I ain't gonna say what state, but that's my man Sweets. You understand? But this was my little worker. And now he has all this. He's a man, he has more than me. And I'm proud of him. And that's what it's supposed to be about. I know that what I gave him back then, because he even brought it up to me. He said, man, I can't believe, you told me that we ain't friends, that we just working together. We just getting money, and that's all it is. It ain't no friendship. It ain't no nothing. It's just a bag, nigga. That's it. You know what I mean? Now, if you want to get it, we going to get it. You want a friend, go over there and find a friend and go play games. But if you want to eat and get the bag, this is where we at. Don't violate, and I ain't going to violate, and we going to play fair. All right? And that's how that was. But let me get back to this, man. Big shout out. Oh, yeah, I was saying Harlem Legend, that's his brother-in-law, something like that. And he put me on the phone with him, and he's really been instrumental in helping me to understand a lot of this, what's that, social media technology. Because I got Instagram, got 20-something thousand people on the Instagram. You can follow me over there at, what the hell is it? Unique, the same as the name is this, Unique Mecca Audio at Instagram. Go on over there. I'm going to start posting because Harlem Legend been showing me in my Facebook. Same Unique Mecca Audio Hall, I think. Just put Unique Mecca Audio, you'll find it. There's a whole bunch of them, but you'll figure it out. But anyway, let me get back to this because we riding.
Meals are passed through a slot in the door. You receive questionable food in plastic containers, usually without utensils. If you follow the rules, you might earn a small TV with limited programming. Mostly religious broadcasts, educational content, or prison-approved news. You might get books, but nothing that shows you the outside world. Nothing that
See, that's a lie again. That's another lie. See, I don't like when they lie. You could get anything except for porno magazines or gun magazines. I was getting Wired, People, Esquire, what's that? The Hip Hop Weekly, The Source, The Vibe. I got all the magazines. That's how I stayed in tune with what was going on. So all that about you can't get nothing for the outside world. They just trying to make it sound spooky now. And it was spooky enough as it is, so we don't need to put a 10 on it too. You're allowed to get books. Like I said, I read Wilbur Smith. I even read my favorite my favorite author is Jackie Collins. If y'all don't know who Jackie Collins is, if y'all been in prison and you read a Jackie Collins book while you was in that prison cell, you know how she made you escape. But the greatest book I ever read of all time was Queen by Alex Haley. That taught me so much about history, American history, Irish history, African history. But that's what these books did when we was in the cells. So I had to correct that when he's saying that, that was some bull crap, but they don't let you nothing see the outside world. That, man, you can read it, you can see it, all that. Just can't have no violent content, no sexual content.
makes you feel connected to anything or anyone. Your 1 hour of outdoor recreation happens in a concrete enclosure with a grate overhead. You breathe air, maybe feel the sun on your face, but you're still alone.
You just have to be alone with your thoughts and toss and turn till the morning. For 2 years, I never got a full night's sleep.
This intense level of isolation wasn't always the case. In the early years of ADX, inmates were sometimes allowed to interact during carefully monitored yard sessions. That all changed in 2005. Before we explain exactly why this happened and reveal more terrifying secrets about America's most secure prison, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a second of How to Survive.
So before we go there, right, you're getting ready to talk about, but they used to have rec where you got 14 cells on the range, but they only use 10 cells, 14 cells on every range. And, the 10 people, we could go to rec together in the morning. They take us out one at a time with like 3 police at a time, and they walk us in another sally port to the rec yard. take the handcuffs off, and they put us in a rec cage. Then they go get somebody else, and they bring them, and then now the whole range is out there. They was allowing that to happen. Now, from that happening, and we go out there, remember, we locked in the cell 23 hours a day. So, I mean, best friends become enemies in each other's mind. Dudes is beefing with dudes because dude might have been asleep, and the dude was calling him, and he didn't answer, you know, and tried to get him because he needed, you know, a candy bar, and he didn't answer. Now, in this dude's mind, while he in the cell in ADX, he's thinking, man, he heard me. He just don't want to give me the candy bar. But, yo, you didn't even ask for the candy bar yet. He don't even know what you're asking for because you're just calling his name, but he's asleep. But in your mind, he knows you want that candy bar, and he a sucker because you don't gave him your candy bar when you ran out, and now you ran out and you want a candy bar. Man, I can't believe this sucker did this. All this because dude's sleeping, but this how your mind played tricks on you in the cell. So now when you go out to the rec yard, dude got attitude. Dude's like, yo, talking to him, and he's all standoff. And like, yo, what's wrong with you? And he said, nah, that's some sucker shit. What are you talking about? Man, you heard me calling you for that candy bar. What candy bar? I didn't even hear you calling me. Yes, you did. I'm like, man, I'm telling you, I didn't hear you. You know what I mean? And you got to try and convince him you didn't hear him, but in his mind, he knows you heard him. You can't say nothing to change his mind. So that's when you just look at him and said, yeah, dog, you know, I ain't want to answer. You know what I mean? My mind was somewhere else. I heard you, yeah, you asked me with candy bar, whatever you want. My mind was somewhere else, man. You're not a cage dude. And, you know, when you honest like that, a dude could understand that because anything you say contrary to, you know, you knew he was calling for a candy bar. Now you playing with his intelligence, and you're going to trigger something to let his dark side come out. So to prevent that, you say, you know what, you're right, dog. I heard you, but I had a lot going on, man. You know, I got some letter from my kids or something, or a letter from the court. I just ain't want to be even hollering, hear my voice in the cell yelling back, echoing all in my ear. And the dude could respect that. It ain't the truth, because he made his own truth in his mind. And when you've been in there long enough and you've been going through it, you understand, you know, what he's doing. And that's how you survive ADX. You know, even in life, right? Let's ride. Even in life, you don't sit there and, you know, bicker with people back and forth. When someone's mind is made up, it's made up, and that's what it is. If your woman think you're cheating, you're cheating. End of story. You can't tell her nothing different, and vice versa. If dude think his woman is cheating, oh, he knows she ain't a no good. She's a slut. She been a slut. I know she's a slut. She ain't even doing nothing. She just taking a new class, you know, online, and, you know, put her phone on silent while she's studying at night. Don't want nobody to know what she's doing. But ain't nobody that insecure that if she don't answer, they think she out spreading her legs. You understand what I'm saying? But people get in their mind. Because I learned that from when because we ride, right? We still ride. I learned that because one of my first times going to the county jail on my way to the state prison, I met this girl, and I'm talking to the girl on the phone. Everything is good. I meet her through the phone. Everything is good. But then she was taking psychology up there in Pennsylvania, right, by Chester University. And she sent a book called Psychology, right? You know, book one. Right? But I didn't know how to read, so I used to grab one of the other dudes, you know, the more good reading dudes in there, dudes that got education, and tell me, yo, read this for me. And at night while I'm laying down, he'd sit there next to the bed and he'll read the joint. That was like, you know, telling me a bedtime story, reading the psychology. And one of the things it said in that book while he was reading it out that resonated to me is that when, that you could put positive thoughts in your mind or negative thoughts in your mind. So when you're calling your girl from in prison and she's not answering, if you start going down a path that she out cheating, because now your conscience is bothering you because you know if you was out there, you'll be screwing, but yet you don't expect her to screw while she's out there. Ain't that an oxymoron? You know, is that crazy? But women are so loyal that they actually won't screw while their man is away. But they know if they was out here and roles was different, but they don't even think that far. They just respond on their loyalty, and that's why women get a round of applause. You know, hold on. Let me get back to ADX, man. Relax. Let me get back to that. Can I get back to the ADX? Hey.
On a fateful day, Manuel Tati Torres, a known member of the Mexican Mafia, was beaten to death by two fellow gang members during a group recreation session. The killing was calculated, sudden, and brutal.
No inmate prior to Tati was murdered at ADX, no inmate since Tati has been murdered at ADX.
After that, ADX permanently banned all group activities. Inmates now exist in complete solitude, physically, mentally, and emotionally.
One murder at ADX spoils it for everybody.
One anything anywhere spoils it for everyone. That's the way it works. When you're in prison, whatever one person does, it affects all, and that's how they break us, right? Because, you know, we like to ride. All right, so let me ride. When you're in prison, right, let's say two dudes is fighting over the TV. I was in a prison so petty that if there's two men fighting over the TV in another unit across the compound, down the hall and around the brook, you know, from my unit, but they arguing and the police hit the deuces, they'll lock the jail down for 7 days. It wasn't even in my unit. I don't even know who the hell was arguing, and I don't even know what TV they talking about, but this is how crazy it is. You know what I mean? So the whole jail gets punished for two dudes arguing over the TV, but that was the deterrent to break you so that we'll police each other. So if a dude get ready to argue over the TV, someone is going to step in and saying, yo, what you doing, dog? You know we ain't trying to get locked down for 7 days. Dude might say, what you got to do with it? Man, I got a lot to do with it. I'm going to get locked down for your actions. So what you say, now you working for the police, you telling the police, you know, Job telling me not to bust him in his mouth? You know what I mean? So next thing you know, now they all fighting. But, you know, that's just how crazy it is just to give you a ride. Let's get back.
And so now there is no human contact.
Every inch of the prison is designed to remove autonomy, eliminate influence, and erase identity. Every design decision, every policy revolves around one goal: total control. That includes the psychological environment. To the outside world, isolation might seem like a peaceful retreat, but extended solitary confinement has proven to have devastating consequences. Like severe psychological damage, including depression, hallucinations, self-harm, and suicide. Jack Powers is one of the most extreme examples. After being sent to ADX, his mental health deteriorated rapidly. He bit off his own finger. He cut off his earlobes and even removed his testicle. Jack was one of several inmates who have committed self-harm and attempted suicide at ADX. Eventually, he was released in 2022 after spending over 2 decades in solitary confinement.
I was a criminal. There's no question about it, no doubt about it. Yeah, I stole, I robbed. Did I deserve to be arrested and stopped from criminal activity? Yes. Did I deserve to be kept in a cage for almost 33 years of my life? I would have to say no.
Another inmate, Travis Dusenberry, spent 10 years in nearly total isolation. He said the only thing that kept him going was watching the snowfall through his window. That tiny moment of natural change was the only reminder that the world still existed. But peace like this is hard to come by.
I didn't have it on. I gotta end this, yo.